Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter, and welcome to the Daily Check-in for June 5th, 2020. It's Friday. We made it, everybody. I'm pretty pumped about this Friday. The topic for today is learn all the things. Should you learn all the things? Should you specialize? That's kind of the conversation I want to have, and it's based off of a question from a viewer. So we're going to dive into that in a couple minutes. Few housekeeping items. First thing is, I'm thinking about maybe occasionally having a guest on the daily check in, and that could either be a guest that live streams in place of me, like when I go on vacation or something, or it could be a guest that live streams with me and I ask them some questions, or we just have a quick conversation about something. It's still going to be, 10 minutes. I'm not going to go over the self-imposed limit, but I'm thinking about doing that. So I'd like to get your feedback on that. Is that something you'd be interested in viewing? And if so, who would be the guests you want to see? I'd especially like some guests that are people of color or at least women. I don't want just two white middle-aged dudes talking to each other on a screen. You probably get enough of that. So I would love to have those types of guests. If you have someone in mind that you think would be good for the daily check-in, let me know. I'm a fan. I would like to do that. So that's one housekeeping item. The other housekeeping item is I'm thinking about maybe doing another day of the week series. I've got Terraform Tuesdays and Thursdays on the edge. I'm curious if anybody would be interested in another specialized topic day. So if you have something in mind that you think would be good and I can do for a while, like Terraform, I'm never going to run out of stuff, and Edge, probably the same. If there's a topic that's similar to that that you think I could do as a weekly series kind of thing, let me know. Hit me up in the comments or on LinkedIn or Twitter and give me your feedback. What do you want to know more about in a series type format? And you'll notice if you go on the YouTube channel, I have started creating playlists for each series. So if all you care about is my Terraform Tuesdays, just go to the playlist that's Terraform Tuesdays. And while you're there, why not subscribe to the channel? Always appreciated that. All right, with that out of the way, let's check in. How you doing? Welcome to Friday. That's pretty good. You made it. The week was long. I'm sure it was strange, sometimes depressing, sometimes difficult. Friday's a chance to regroup, collect yourselves, think about the weekend. What do you want to do with next week? How can you push forward your life and, raise up other people's life? It's a question that we're asking a little more introspectively than ever before. And I don't have the answers, but I think that we can all find ways to help out in our community and in society at large. So I hope that's something that's in the back of your mind. That's as far as I want to go down that path for now. Let's get into the topic, which is about career development. And that seems to be something people are asking me about a lot lately. The question came from a viewer, and I'm just going to read the question. It said, I made my career as a specialist, but the trend has been toward generalization. As public cloud usage grows, will the trend swing back to specialization again? Now, as someone who's always been a generalist, I've never gone super, super deep on any particular technology. I mean, I got my start mostly in infrastructure technologies, so I've been focused on servers, storage, and networking, but I wouldn't consider myself a deep, deep expert on any of those. I know enough to configure a RAID array. I know my way around a layer 2 and 3 network. I'm not great with routing. I can stand up a server and get it configured. The value that I usually bring to any situation is the ability to combine all of those things together and understand how they work as a whole. And that helps me be a good architect, but I'm not a deep specialist. But I understand that some people did go down that specialist route. There's people with their CCIE or their VCDX, and that's their jam. That's what they're into. And there has been an overall move to more generalized roles for people who understand the full stack, in part because certain aspects, individual aspects of the stack are now under management of specialists. If you think about the migration from on-premises data center to cloud, you needed a deep storage specialist, especially if performance was a big thing for you. You needed that deep storage specialist to manage and maintain your storage arrays and your SAN. That made sense when you were running everything on-prem. Once you move to the cloud, you're no longer responsible for managing the physical hardware, the physical network, the storage, the underlying storage. That's all abstracted and managed for you. Where you bring value is being able to cobble together all the different components that make up the public cloud to architect a solution that helps your business achieve whatever its goal is, whether that's making more money or it could be raising money to do something in a nonprofit kind of sense. Whatever the goal of your company is, that's what you're trying to lead down. And so the result of that is you become maybe more of a cloud expert, but even then, you're sort of specializing in IaaS or potentially some of the platform as a service offerings that are in any public cloud. Now, if that's the pendulum and you've swung from being maybe deep, deep, deep into networking to now still having that deep network knowledge, because that never goes away, but now you're more stretched across multiple disciplines because you're deploying things in the cloud, is there a chance for that pendulum to swing back to deep specialization? And I think that's a nuanced answer. It might, depending on the type of organization that you're in. So let's assume you're in a SMB, 500 max employees. What are the chances that they're going to be able to afford deep specialists in individual areas? Probably not very good. That's why they hire consultants. You're probably better off at that organization as more of a generalist because you're going to be responsible for a wider breadth of things. So be that generalist and know when you need to bring in a specialist for a particular job. That's a consultant. You bring them in for a month or 6, and then when they're done tuning or standing up the thing that needs that specialized knowledge, you say, peace out. Now, flip that. What if you work for a consulting group? Okay, now it might make sense to start really specializing in something if that's what your consulting group does. And again, I'll give you 2 examples here. If you're in a consulting group and your whole thing is building data warehouses and doing data analysis, then you can go deep and specialize in just that. And I know someone who has a consulting group and that's what they do. They're known for tuning up databases. They're known for setting up data warehouses and setting up the data mart for that data warehouse and all that kind of stuff. That's what they do. They're very specialized in it. They don't do general consulting. You're not going to bring them in to stand up in a cloud environment for IaaS. That's not their thing. But there are other consulting companies that are less specialized. So I used to work for one where we did cloud, which really meant kind of IaaS, but that meant I didn't specialize in data warehousing. I didn't specialize in just virtual machines. I generalized across Azure and AWS. So again, it depends on your organization. What is it looking for? And it also depends on you. What are you looking to do? Because I think there's always going to be an opportunity and a demand for specialists in IT and for generalists. But what those people do and what their day-to-day job looks like is going to be vastly different. The other thing to consider is generalists tend to move up the stack. They have an easier career progression because as you become a generalist, you can now have multiple specialists under you that are doing the actual work. So you might lead a team of infrastructure people, some of which are doing database work, some are, standing up networks, some are doing something with servers, and another one's working in a cloud with some other product, whether it's Lambda or something like that. But you're overseeing that group and you are a generalist, so you know enough about each one to check in with them, see how things are going, offer feedback and advice. Whereas if you're a deep, deep, deep specialist on something, it's going to be more difficult for you to be a manager of other specialists that aren't in your realm because it's harder for you to see how all the pieces go together. So I think from a career advancement, unless you're going to run one of these boutique consulting companies that do one thing and do it really well, I think it behooves you to go more in the generalist direction and specialize in a couple things that are of interest to you, but keep that broader picture in mind. And even if you're a specialist, I think having a sense of the broader picture is going to help you in your career and just in life, because when you're designing complex systems, even if you're only responsible for one component of that complex system, that component has to interact with the systems that are adjacent to it. So you need to know something at least about those adjacent systems. If you're setting up a storage area network, it probably helps if you know a little bit about networking. And it probably helps if you know a little bit about the applications that are going to be consuming your storage, because that's going to help you design that storage to be most ideal. So I think if someone asks me, do I think it's going to swing back to specialization again? I don't think it ever swung away. I think a new technology that needed to be adopted came into the fore. And so you had generalists. I think some of them will specialize in particular areas of that, because that's just how technology continues to roll. But as an IT person and as a professional in technology, I would say specialize in two or three things, go deep on those things that interest you, but always keep a broader, more generalized picture of how those things snap into the larger picture. One, so if the things that you're specialized in start going away, you can make the leap to something that's similar. And two, it helps you be a better architect and design better and more resilient systems. So those are my thoughts on whether you should learn all the things or just learn one thing really deep. That does it for me for this week. I want to thank everybody for watching. Stay healthy and stay safe this weekend, and I will be back on Monday with a new topic.